Good afternoon.
Eric, what's it?
Yep.
Gotta wait for the recording to start.
Okay.
AOL dial-up.
Okay, we're good.
I'd like to call to order the Corey Valley Unified Union School District Board meeting on May 11th, 2024 at 6 p.m. Please stand and face the American flag and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, moving on to approval of agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, or changes to the agenda?
You have to take the motion first.
The motion first?
Yes, I'll make the motion.
A motion has been made to accept the agenda. All in favor?
No, we got to add, now we got to add. So I'm
Now we
adding
add?
the VSBA report.
My mind doesn't work like that.
That's okay.
Are there any additions, deletions?
So I'll add the VSBA report, a short one.
Under consent agenda, is that where you want to do that?
Wherever you think it should be. Yeah, we could put it on the consent agenda. Thank you. Yeah.
Make a motion. A motion has been made to add the GRCSU representative.
No, that was the VSBA.
Yeah.
VSBA.
So we have to do the VSBA separate?
No, so I do believe we have the VSB update on the consent agenda, and you would also like to add under new business, the SU representative, and then Corey Valley Board Retreat discussion under new business. So you need a motion for those three additions.
Add it to the motion.
A motion has been made. All in favor say
Aye.
aye. Or aye. Opposed? Motion approved. Consent. Are there any current persons that want to make public comments?
Yeah,
Please stand and introduce yourself and say what's on your mind.
I'm Cheryl Poirier, Public Recreation.
and I'm Jeff King, the chairman of the Poultney Select Board. We're here to ask the board to consider refurbishing our tennis courts at the elementary school, at least start the process, or at least think about starting the process, because it takes so long to get anything done. If anything was done this year, you wouldn't get a contractor for a year, if not more. But we're just asking the board to possibly talk about and discuss refurbishing them, because Cheryl uses them a lot for recreation, the community uses it a lot, and there's been a lot of community members coming to me and asking me also to put lines in with the tennis courts, lines in, and make it a dual functional court and have it a pickleball court also. We know that it is a little pricey to do this, but you would need, everybody knows, I don't need to tell you what you need for how many bids and that stuff. You guys all know that.
It used to be resurfaced like every 5 years when the rec would work together with the Poultney. They would resurface it and they'd fill in the lines and stuff, but it was on like every 5 years or so, it would have to be really stripped down. It's the point now that it either has to be taken care of or it's not gonna be there. I still use it. We have filled in the cracks, and I know Richard from Poultney to get it so it was usable for rec. We probably have the last 3 years between 20 and 30 kids that use it. We have a couple groups that like to play tennis on it, but pickleball is this big new thing that everybody wants us to have tournaments there. So we'd like to have it dual. Right now, it's really close to being not salvageable, so it really needs some work from TLC.
But we're here, we asked our board if it was okay if we came to talk to you. You don't just go and get a board member and talk. You have to ask permission. But we're just asking you to consider looking at refurbishing the tennis courts for the community. Because it's not only Poultney that uses it, there's other towns that will use the courts. But that's why we're here tonight.
Okay, thanks for
Okay.
coming. You know, we'll discuss this in a future meeting, and we'll get back to you.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you guys.
And thanks for meeting with us.
You're welcome to stay if you want.
We do so many meetings. It's nice.
You're gonna-
Have a good night, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're moving on to old business. Corey Valley Unified Union Supervisory District Future Planning. So there's a few items to discuss, and the first one is I'd like to get an idea of, from all the board members, where do you see our Corey Valley School in 3 to 5 years? And kind of have an idea of what your thoughts are.
Well, I like the idea of starting out with using Corey Valley with the schools. I think that would be a good idea. Corey Valley or Poultney High School at Corey Valley, or Poultney or Proctor, where we're more Corey Valley with a I don't know, I hate to use the word campus, but a school at. So that would be, and I think we talked about more things to be done. We did that at the school, so we get more kids involved. We might want to use, instead of Poultney and Proctor are farther apart from West Rutland. I mean, we might, if we did, I don't know how people would feel about this, because we love our schools, okay? Everybody loves their schools, but maybe in order to get kids to be able to be together more at the high schools, we could use West Rutland as the hub, because it's easier for parents to bring, like if you're gonna do a Corey Valley Theater or a Corey Valley, parents might find it a little bit easier to bring kids to West Rutland and, instead of trucking them to Proctor or trucking them to Poultney. Maybe we need to think about doing that, that might be an idea to do. I don't know how anybody feels about that.
So from a sort of just at the details level perspective, right? I'm hearing some ideas about details, but kind of at the slightly higher view, I mean, in terms of 3 to 5 years, it sounds like find more opportunities for Corey Valley schools to come together via things like the play, right? There are things happening right now in that vein, but it sounds like a 3 to 5 year goal might be find more opportunities to do that, and we could identify opportunities that are both extracurricular and academic, for example. Does that seem like am I kind of catching the drift? Yeah.
Anybody else?
Looking at 5 years, I hope we're looking back at success of the strategic plan. That we're able to implement the goals of the strategic plan, and that we find that it's working well, and that all those who are involved find it of value.
Anyone else?
Are we talking about the possibility, which was brought up at the last meeting, about closing?
Oh, is
the
that where this
school?
goes? Okay. I was waiting to see it on the agenda. Everybody's talking about it, but I brought it up. Is that something we should look at?
Yes.
We have 6 buildings. Holy smokes, I mean, that
Yeah.
seems, and if you look at it, nothing's going down, everything's going up double digits. So,
So what would be?
and I don't know how you start that process, I have no idea.
What about, how many schools in the future do you see?
I don't
Can we back
know.
up to what problem are we trying to solve by closing schools, right? Like, there's a bigger, for me, there's a bigger picture question and some data and conversations that need to happen before we get to any specific recommendations, of which closing schools, to me, is one of them, right? So what's the bigger, what's the problem we're trying to solve? I don't have a
Affordability.
clear- What was that?
Affordability.
Right, but so I feel like we need to kind of like dig into some of that a little bit, right? Before we start identifying
Okay.
So maybe-
specific remedies.
That's like on the thing, I wish it would have said like closing of a building. That'll
But there's
get
a lot-
Pulteney talking, West Rutland, Proctor, maybe people in the community, well, what about this? Hey, good idea, That,
So how
future
about,
planning doesn't really,
how about maybe we use that for the retreat, a discussion regarding this during our retreat?
but I mean, like, that, could that be on there as closing of a building? That'll get people talking, and that's what you want. I mean, future planning, I didn't even know I was gonna stick closing of a building in there, you know what I mean? I
Okay.
mean, maybe not, I mean, it's everybody's decision, but that would get the towns talking on what's going on.
You want the public to start
Well, they'll
communicating
start,
about
if they
it?
see that, I mean, it's gonna be going on, that's my opinion, I mean, this is a board, so.
So you're saying you would like to put that on there so we start getting their opinions of?
Correct, the towns will start talking, and maybe somebody out there's got a great idea that we haven't even thought of, you know what I mean? But, I mean, that's whole board's.
I think what Sarah's saying is we got to define what we mean by that. and-
So,
and-
I guess what I heard, out of this wild school budget season, right? Which feels like is driving a lot of urgency around conversations around affordability and around the cost of education, and we've seen even from Vermont School Board Association and that there's bills things that are happening right now still in the legislature, right? But I've heard that, and I think I understand. I think it was brought up in a meeting fairly recently, like maybe there's even some pressure from the governor's office coming around. Maybe there's eyes on this district, but I don't have a clear full picture of what that looks like and how that then, how we then, so what is that problem, where the pressure's coming from for our district? We know that the state, like all around the state, there's all kinds of challenges, but for our district, I would like to have a better understanding of, where we're at within that bigger picture, within that context, and then start looking at, okay, we've got a new mission and a vision statement, we've got the strategic plan, we've got the goals that have been set. How do those help guide us into making decisions about how we address some of these larger picture problems? So, I hesitate to jump to a conversation about any remedy, whether it's changing the names of schools or closing buildings, before we have that kind of bigger picture understanding. And so also that the, folks in our towns also have that understanding of what that bigger picture context is and what problems might be flowing from that we as a group are collectively trying to solve.
Okay.
All right, so do we need how much it costs for each building? The cost of running each building? And again, if I like what you said, because if we go back to kids, we've been talking a lot about how we could offer more to kids. If we put more kids together, I don't know. When I was on the board the last time, we talked about how we were going to put kids together, and we could do it via this. Kids would be watching a board from Pulteney, and the teacher would be teaching from Proctor or West Rutland. And I'm not sure. We just keep going around in a circle and talk about it, but we don't talk about it because it's hard it's a hard thing to talk about that. So if we don't start somewhere, we're just going to be back here in June, we're going to be back here in July, and we're going to be talking about the same thing. So if we could maybe find out the affordability, if we talk about the cost of each building, and start with that, start with the money, but also talk about if, how do people feel if we could put more kids together in a classroom in one place, since we're not doing this with the computer for kids, and we know how hard that is. I am still of the opinion that it's great, and my daughter takes all her classes online. She's an adult. I've had talks with her about that. But I think kids still need a body in the classroom that they can interact with, because they have this so much. I was getting out my phone. They do this all day. So if, it would be better to keep that classroom teacher in there teaching the classroom. So I would love to have a conversation about how to put more kids together in classrooms and offer more for the kids to do than we're fighting to do a science class because we don't have a science teacher to teach a basic science class. How can we even talk about offering more classes when we're not even offering what the kids need in a basic, because we're all separated, so far away from each other. If we do this and put the kid in the center, the student in the center, we have to figure out what does that look like and what is important to us. Do we give up something so that the student gets something? Do we feel that putting the student together with other students from other schools is important to the strategic plan, to what our belief system, to our vision and mission? I think that's the discussion to have, is that when we make that, when we say we're engaged, empowered, and prepared for tomorrow, what's the nuts and bolts of that? Does the student become the most important thing? We talk about it, and, do we want 10 kids in a class, or do we want 20 kids in a class? And do we want to offer more opportunities for the students? And that means having difficult discussions about how we feel about that, especially because we know our communities feel the way they do about the schools. We have West Rutland in the middle. That's the reality of where we are from Proctor and Pulteney. What does that mean?
So another word for that might be configuration.
Might be configuration.
How can we configure things that may or may not include closing a building? But how can we configure things that might work to the student's advantage that may or may not include closing?
Okay, exactly. That means transporting. But we have to have a conversation about what does that mean? Are we transporting kids from Pulteney to West Rutland? There's the cost and the affordability that we're talking about our taxpayers.
Great. Chris, do you have anything to say or advise us on
Not at this time,
regards to
no.
that?
I think there's a board discussion at this time, so we'll keep it as that.
Okay.
What do we do for combined stuff now? What do we do for combined stuff now, like classes, sport,
Extracurricular activities and
everything?
classes.
Or even he means
Everything.
academics.
Like, what do we do as a group now?
Football and soccer, I know that.
That was going on even though before we did this, so.
So we have attempted to combine classrooms through hybrid learning. That has been, I think, met with some success, some struggles, I think, because it depends on the students enrolled in that classroom. As we saw in COVID, that for some students it works really well, others it does not. there are problems with moving students across buildings just from a logistics standpoint, that we do not want students transporting themselves and then, to take a bus. Just our schedules don't necessarily allow for that. There are geographical, considerations as well. So what we've actually have done is have some teachers who will move across buildings, and that's where we've been at the past years. We have a few teachers who will. We looked at, instead of offering, let's say, very small sections across 2 or 3 buildings, we've found a way that we combine with a classroom teacher, and we look at driver's ed. I look at our Corey Valley admin, particularly at the 7 through 12. We have spent, I think, probably the past 3 to 4 years really looking at this issue, and I think we have heard for years around Act 46, around the promise of Act 46, and as we look at our strategic plan, excuse me, allergies are really bad today. One of our goals is to improve opportunities for our students. That's academic opportunities, that's career opportunities. We have a lot of ideas about things we love to do. We'd love to see, a stronger presence in fine arts, theater, performing arts, music. We'd like to see, more extracurricular opportunities for our students. We'd like to see more academic offerings across the spectrum for our students as well. The issue that we find in our current configuration is, just to be realistic, and I think the admins, if they disagree, that they can share, but is that in our current setup is we would have to replicate that across 3 separate buildings. And the problem with that current setup is cost. So that if we were to have a strong presence in any one of those areas I named, we'd have to try to have it in, say, in Proctor, West Rutland, and Poultney at the same time. We've talked before, and we've made attempts around theater, performing arts. We've invited students to be a part of productions, but the reality is to get kids to be able to transport from Poultney to Proctor or vice versa is problematic for a variety of levels. And that has been to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, and we have done a play at West Rutland, and 1 Poultney person came. We have done a couple plays at Proctor, and we've had a few Poultney people come, and we've had some Rutland Town people come because Proctor's closer to Rutland Town, right? So, and I'm not sure you guys have a theater except your town hall theater.
Correct, we have
in
to
your
use town hall
facility.
theater.
And we've had teachers try to collaborate on things like the Halloween parade so that we could actually have a huge band marching in the Halloween parade. It's very difficult to get kids all together with sports because a lot of our kids do both. Like, that's the great thing about our small schools is, like, you can be in the band, you can be in the chorus, you can be on the football team or the soccer team. You don't have to choose. And that's like a wonderful thing that our schools offer to our students. When we look at some of these collaborations, like, I'm all for that. Like, I want us to have, like, state championships in every sport. And if we combined, that would probably happen. But then kids start having to make choices. It just happens that way. And so when I do put kids at the center of some of these decisions, it is going to be a very hard conversation, and you're probably not going to be able to offer to kids as much as we do.
We've spent the last several years talking about different electives and having a robust offering for our students, especially in this day and age of school choice. I have parents come and say, my son or daughter wants to stay in your school. It's hard when another high school may offer, outside of our district, 11 AP classes, and we're offering 1 or 2. Those are hard decisions for parents to say, again, go back to the student-centered. Linda, thank you, about putting that. Those are really hard. And we learned, I think, we were offering several math classes over the last few years with Proctor students to try to fill those gaps. It's hard. Hybrid learning, we found, if anything COVID taught us, that's probably not the best way. And it wasn't the teacher, it wasn't the students, it was really the modality, how we were actually trying to do this. It was really we tried a lot of different tech. We brought in Greg Connors from our IT department to really help us. We looked at different things. And in the end, and by the way, you still need someone else in that room where the teacher's in one classroom, you still need someone in with those children in another location. So every time we think, and we've spent, as Chris said, I've been here 5 years. We've talked about this all 5 years. And we've tried a lot to see what would stick to the wall, and sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. But those are, going back to the student-centered, what types of opportunities could we offer for our students that want, to make staying in our small school attractive? There's a lot of great things, that they can do, this and that, athletic, art, performing arts, music. Those are all great across our buildings, but we're also limited by that we might only have 7 or 8 students who want in each one of our schools. And the travel, the logistics, there's just a lot that goes with it that on the surface these look like great ideas. And when you really get into the logistics of it, and especially when we talk about transporting students, there's some real struggles that go with that. So just things to think about, because and Tom, I like your idea of maybe people have other ideas that we haven't thought about.
Somebody might come in and go boom, and we all go,
Yep.
wow.
So, but we were talking about this as of this morning even. We were talking about this. So,
Well, and sometimes I think transportation, kids get on a bus to go play baseball, and they travel a long way to travel. What if we were able to transport kids for academics? What if we don't think about, kids already know that they're traveling by bus, and maybe they're happier because it isn't academics. I don't know. I don't know. Kids are probably much happier when you're saying, we're going to go play Arlington, and it's an hour away, and we're all going to kick, butt, and we're going to go, and they're all happy about doing that. I don't know if they're going to be happy about traveling to academics.
Well, we already have kids traveling to Stafford, so it's no different than that to me.
Right, so, maybe that's the thought of first having the conversation, is that, would it be that horrible to think about transporting kids to offer more, and let's think about 7 through 12.
It's time.
We've allocated 25 minutes for this topic, and we still have another B to
Yep.
talk, so we need to either,
Mike, I just want to real quick, so Linda, I just want to respond, just so not left out there. We spent years looking at transportation, and there are a lot of logistical problems. It's not just as simple as put kids on a bus and there you go. There are a lot of issues, and I think they said we spent 3 to 5 years really looking at every possible scenario. So, I think this is a great discussion about where we see, because I think it fits right with the strategic plan. And I'm glad that the board has undertaken this conversation, because I think in order for us to get to where we really need to be, I think there are some hard decisions and hard discussions that need to be had, as we look at moving forward. So I'll leave it at that.
One last thing that I'm moving on. I do know that like in Shoreham, because I sell houses in Shoreham, and Shoreham sends their kids to Middlebury. My wife is a Middlebury graduate.
There's
some traveling there.
There's a difference
as
between
well.
sending a kid for a whole day as opposed to for part of the day, and that's what you have to take a look at.
I
So that's,
think to do that, we need to send them for the whole day.
Yeah, I agreed.
but we would have to completely reconfigure
Yep.
our school. That's an academy model, which we can talk about, which is
Okay.
another scenario. Yes.
Okay.
So are we going to, we're going to
We're gonna
continue
And we'll
this?
Continue
start with
this
this for the next
in the-
5 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're just starting this.
Okay, we're moving on to new business.
we haven't
Community
talked
use.
about community use of buildings,
Oh.
facilities. That
I
was
missed it, sorry.
part of the
My bad. So where we left off the last time with community use of business, we were talking about what the costs were associated with AAU.
Yep.
So I don't know if I know it's difficult to figure out how much electricity was used during that time and water and all that stuff, but do you guys have anything to add to the expense to Corey Valley?
Well, Joe Harrington, he was at unfortunately, he's right now is still at the Proctor West Rutland baseball game. So we have had some discussion, and you're right. It is almost impossible to try to figure out what a day's worth of electricity or hot water or whatever. And I even said a day. There's a lot of variables that come into play. I thought of what happens if it's a snowy day and we've got to have the driveway plowed and sanded, right? The parking lot plowed and sanded, and that's a very expensive expense. So we've talked a little bit about, at some point, I know we were able to, Joe Harrington was able to reach out to lots of other districts to see what those costs were. I know he provided Chris some information that, I'm sorry, it's around.
Yeah.
Yep, so that's I'm sorry, I don't have a copy in front of me, but that's some information that he was able to
I can
gather.
talk. Yeah, so.
Yeah, well, yeah.
All right, so, right, I know you had asked about, two particular things. One, which is around, as Jay said, about the cost to operate a building per day, and that is a difficult thing really to pinpoint. There are a lot of variables, and I think it's something which we could provide this. We also, Joe did reach out, you see her, to Leland and Gray, Twin Valley, Burn Burton, Mount Anthony, and Blue Mountain, to get some comparables in terms of what they charge individuals to use our buildings. And so, you look at for a variety, and there really isn't any sort of consistency around this. And I think as I have spoken with other superintendents, it's about the same. There's an inconsistency in terms of what people charge, and some, if it's an organization they know, it's kind of free of charge. I think we talked, at the last meeting around if AAU used this in the past, that we've allowed them to use our facility in exchange for sending like our a varsity team to a team camp over the summer, which is like a $400, $500 value, which when you really look at that, we're actually getting a good deal out of that, because if we look at our facility use, we'd only be charging maybe $200 plus custodial staff. So we're getting more out of that, just from a sheer dollar perspective. The other question that was asked for us to consider was whether or not for concessions, and I think in seeing the admins, I think we're all willing to look at that. That's a potential for a great fundraiser for a class, or for a parent organization, or like I said, we have within our group, and that we can make some pretty good money, because I know we have a lot of things that we'd like to assist with, and so having an AU tour over the weekend and having a senior class do concession stands, that might pay for half their trip in one weekend, depending on the turnout. So I think that's an opportunity for us to kind of capitalize on the event and on the turnout.
Yeah, they have basically said we have right of first refusal to sell concessions. And Caston Caston has been doing the Spartan Invitationals, and I think that's the only one that has used our gym, and I'm not sure if any others have used your gym besides
I would
Caston
have
at
to
this
rely on
point.
Joe for that,
Yeah.
sorry.
My biggest thing is we're charging how much?
So it's $100 a day, and then you can add on your maintenance fees, and we can add on.
You charge the $100, but you got people walking away with tens of thousands of dollars, and that's like if one of us owned a house somewhere and it cost you $200 a day to run it, well, I'm going to charge you $100 to use my house. Somebody's making some big dollars, and we're not
Absolutely.
involved
Yeah,
in that.
AAU
And
is
they're using
definitely
our
making-
nice gym.
Yeah,
That's
AAU is
what's
definitely
really
making some money
killing me.
off of it. What do you think would be a fair? I mean, I
have
think
no
that's the
idea.
problem.
Like I say,
is-
nonprofits, or if it's the schools, that's always free, and it should be, period,
How
but
about 10% of the profit?
you can't. It's all cash. It's all cash.
We will be having the host. We'll be hosting them. They would we'd be sitting with an empty gym and no concessions.
$10, they'd say nobody
I'll
showed up
negotiate
for
that.
pay. Yeah.
And we sit somebody at the
Yeah.
door and we count. We have a counter.
Someone, I saw, I don't know how true this is, but some of those ticket prices were pretty expensive.
But they're making a killing.
Like
Tens of thousands of dollars.
some families can't afford to bring all their kids to these events. They're like
A woman
sitting
I work with said,
outside
like,
and that one
25
parent's
bucks a
videoing it.
person.
Oh, then why don't we increase it incrementally? So it's not completely,
Or-
say we're gonna increase to 500 this year, 750 the next year, and 1,000 the third year.
And stop at, yeah.
Or
If
make-
they don't
make
do
a
it, then
cap
we don't
on there.
lose money.
Right. So start with 5, we're gonna increase
You know,
due to
and
the
not
costs
for,
of our buildings.
Nonprofits.
increase it.
Yeah, or your own kids, or the town needs it, or, I mean, that's
Right.
always should be free.
Cap on tickets to get in,
We don't have
Nah,
control.
you can't
do
really do
that.
that.
even if they're
Yeah.
sitting in our
Yeah,
building.
no.
No, because you could, like, potentially you could start your day at Mill River
Okay.
and you buy your ticket there.
Oh, so, and it goes, I'm not
And then
into
I might go to
basketball, so
Pulteney or West Rutland or Proctor or Drawntat, like, so they use all, like Castleton, they use all these facilities. And I do think, I don't have a copy of the form in front of me, I do think there is a line item on there, not that one, that you can just add an additional charge. So like for Proctor, because we have realized that our, the garbage use goes up,
Everything goes
yeah,
up, everything.
we add an additional charge there.
So like a
And-
surcharge?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a surcharge.
Other stuff.
And that way, like, I understand what you're saying about, like, nonprofits and stuff like that, but
Yeah, those kind of, that should be a,
right, but I wonder if there's a way to do, like, a surcharge on these AAU tournaments and then not having to, like, have it on there for other things that are not for nonprofit. Like, I can just picture, like,
It does say
a look.
other, it says building rentals, $100 daily, custodial fees,
Yeah.
$30 an hour. Then there's a line that says other costs,
Yeah,
and you can put whatever the description, like you would put garbage or whatever.
yeah, that's what we put in there, garbage, but,
Expenses, $500. I mean, I would,
I know some organizations, what they'll do is they'll rent it, I'm just using a hypothetical number, they'll say, okay, it's $1,000. And if you don't use all of that $1,000 worth of rental, we will reimburse you. So, for example, you might have that in there as part of a security deposit, garbage, whatever the case may be, so it's equitable. But we're talking about a commercial usage of a public-funded building.
okay, so what does that mean what does that mean to you?
Well, if the taxpayer owns the building, the taxpayer shouldn't be encumbered by the use of it by a commercial entity.
So are we saying that increasing it would be okay then? Are you saying
Saying that it
that?
seems reasonable that if the public is funding the building, that they shouldn't be negatively impacted by letting a commercial organization use it.
So could I make a motion then to increase the building, what is it? Hold on. The community use of school facilities during AA.
yeah, but not really.
I don't think we
Can
can
we
take
take
this seriously.
community out, because community sounds like you're
Okay.
gonna stick it to your town.
The
if they
use
want
of
to do
school
something.
facilities during.
That's a policy name, that's the
A-
title of the policy. So we're just, the procedure that we have is still consistent with the policy title. So we'd have to, change
I
the
don't wanna
policy titles.
Change the world, yeah, but
Or just make a motion that during the time of the what is it, the
AAU tournaments,
AU
they
tournaments?
come from all over the country.
That we will increase our building use for that time to $500 the first, I'm sort of throwing it out, I'm not making the motion yet, I'm just talking. The first year to $500, the second year to $750, and the third year to $1,000.
A day,
A day.
but then plus, and like I said, everybody figure a price, but plus the custodial, the $30 or whatever.
Right, we'll
so-
keep that in too,
But that's a.
but it
board
helps with
building.
them.
Are we just trying to cover costs so that there's not a negative impact and we come out even, or are we trying to make money? Right? I'm unclear.
I think we're at least trying to break even, if not
Shouldn't
make a
cost us money.
profit.
Right,
They're
and
trying
right
to-
now, we
They are
feel
trying
like.
to make money.
No, I understand that. I'm just curious because I heard that we're not able to break down, we don't have a number as to what break even looks like, right? Because we don't have that, it's hard to, because of electricity and things like that, right? So I wonder about that a little bit. The other thing I just wondered about, and I know some kids, like my kids' friends play AAU, but I don't know much about the organization, but would like a big increase in cost have any negative impact on their ability to mount, like, would they not want to be in our communities? Because I know some of the kids really enjoy participating in those, so I'm just throwing that out there.
Or it
for
could
people to know more about.
incentivize other places to do the same thing. I mean, once you do it, maybe it wouldn't change the first year. I'm just saying, I'm not but maybe that what other people would realize too, like they're saying, but they think they should. But they think they should. So if we did it, would these people who they think they should say, well, Quarry Valley did it, maybe it's time we did it too?
So now we've kind of had a discussion about this. How about we table it, think about it until until our next meeting, and then come here with ideas, and hopefully we can put together a motion.
I'll make a motion to table.
Motion's been made to table community use of schools and facilities.
But in that, we should probably also include Lewis, so we have more financial input.
Okay.
Consider that.
Does he have to be within that motion? Okay. So, a motion's been made to table community use of school facilities to our next board meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Okay, motion was approved. Moving on to new business. First item is the GRCSU representative. So Linda and I've been talking about her stepping down, and then I would replace her as the voting member on the GRCSU. I do try to make every meeting. If I'm not here, I am on. I think one meeting I was watching it from the comfort of my home, but I don't know what everybody's feeling is on doing that. Any feedback?
Can we, maybe everybody knows this, but I don't, can we swap members? Like, say you're doing it now, and you already know 6 months from now you can't make that day. Can she go?
You mean an alternate? You mean
Well, not alternate, just like if he can't make
As an
it.
alternate.
Or,
As an alternate, a person who would step in if you're.
Yeah,
not-
like if he can't
That's what I
make
meant, not an,
that.
right, it's an alternate.
can you do that? I don't know. Yeah?
Yeah,
The board could
can make a motion
make a
to
motion
do
to
that.
have an alternate.
It wouldn't increase the number of voters, it would be the same number of people. But that
Correct, like
alternate-
if he
the
can't
alternate-
make it.
Right.
Yeah, she like switch hits there, yeah.
All right, so I'd like to make a motion that Eric replace Linda Smith as the GRC representative, and that if for some reason he cannot make it, I would be his alternate.
Motion has been made. Any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I know, I need it.
Abstained? The motion is approved. Okay, the next item under new business is
Great
the
shelters.
board retreat. First of all, I'm wondering where the board would like to have the board retreat. Do we want to have it here? Any ideas?
I don't mind having it here, as long as it's cool.
You think in January?
That's my boy. I don't mind having it here. It's here, it's convenient for everybody.
Okay.
You know, if we wanted to eat, if we could do Gills Grinders, you know.
Maxie's.
Maxie's.
Maxie's, you know, something easy where it, you know, eating takes the time to talk about stuff, but it's not the entire time of,
Maybe we
because
should,
if we're doing a retreat, it's supposed to be,
as far as catering goes, maybe we should look at somebody who's in our district to cater it rather than.
that
outside.
would be, I'm always happy on that one, always. Let's pay somebody from our districts, yes,
Is there-
yeah.
Is that something we need a motion on to make that decision, or?
You need to, if you're going to, but do we have a date?
We don't have a date, so we need to figure that out as well.
Regular meeting is July 11th, just for your reference.
So the retreat could be July 11th. Okay.
Board wishes.
Do we want to have it during a regular meeting, or do we feel like we need to set aside additional or separate time for it? And what's been done in the past? I think the past couple have been just regular board meetings, but it feels like we've got things to talk about this time.
Yeah.
Last year we had it in Bombazine, so it wasn't a regular board.
Oh, maybe I just missed it. Okay. All right. Because we've talked in the past too about options like having, and you're connected up with VSBA now, is that right? Did I see it? Yeah, having, I remember in the past there were folks from VSBA who might even be available to help like facilitate conversations and things like that too. So that might be something to think about if we wanted to. But that I think would require something maybe separate from I don't know.
Well, I think
I'm-
before you
I'm
can
asking.
determine who's going to be the facilitator, what are they going to facilitate? What
Yeah,
is
right.
the topic of discussion?
Yeah,
that's
Then you
another
can
thing.
determine how that's going to be presented.
Right.
Okay. So,
I mean, there's an interesting, the question you asked earlier today about where do we see schools in 3 to 5 years, to me, like, and in my work life, that's a retreat kind of question.
Yeah,
That's a sit
yeah.
down for a few hours and have breakout groups and throw markers up on stickies on the wall and really dig into it, right?
Agreed.
So for me, that might be one, like as a big picture question that we can dig into it from different angles, but that feels meaty as a topic.
So how does the board feel about that? Making that a board retreat topic? The board retreat topic?
Corey Valley future.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That'd be a good topic.
3 to 5 year planning. Or, well, there's a strategic plan, but 3 to 5 year vision. And I mean, the other, it's also experienced, like facilitation. It might be nice to have an experienced facilitator to take us through it. I feel like there's probably a bunch of people in this room who could potentially facilitate such a conversation, but experienced facilitators just really bring kind of a next level.
Sometimes it's nice to have someone that
Is outside
doesn't
as well.
have any
Yeah.
skin in the game, so to speak.
But
Yeah.
there is a cost for that,
Is there as well? Okay. Yeah.
unless somebody's willing to do it.
I mean,
Right. Well, are there?
we spoke about that cost a little bit,
Hmm.
and it was like up to $40,000.
Well,
right?
no,
Okay.
no, I think that's for like a consultancy group.
Yeah.
Like if you had a consultancy group who's
Okay.
coming in
Yeah.
to actually walk you through this process over the course of
Yeah.
2 years. But someone to come in for one night, you're probably, could be anywhere between $200 to $1,000, depending on who you
We get,
get. And it doesn't mean that, I guess that's also like a bottle of wine. $200 mean you're getting you can get someone to do an excellent job at $200, and $1,000 person can be horrible. I
Yeah.
mean, so we don't equate value or quality with
we,
cost.
we would want someone that had experience in that kind of, the kind of
ideally
challenges we
someone-
have, right?
Right. I was going to
Not-
say in this
Not
like
necessarily. You could have somebody who can manage the discussion.
Okay.
Manage the discussion. Have some familiarity with it, but you might need somebody who can manage how to manage that discussion, what we should talk about, how we should process that through that processing of that, rather than necessarily an expert.
And where do you find such a person?
There's business
Pick
people, there's
somebody.
college professors, there's lots of people who you could,
We picked somebody last night, or
Right.
2 nights ago, right? For the
people.
GRCSU.
as we say, it doesn't necessarily have to be, you need somebody who can manage the discussion. In my view.
Okay.
am I making that up? Does the VSBA have folks who do this?
Yes,
Yeah.
'Cause that feels
Debbie,
that's
good-
one resource. yes,
she's
yes,
like
yes.
closest, I guess, to us.
Do we pay for that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Debbie Singers, yes,
Yeah.
she works in the VSBA and does this work. I do believe that's through the GRCSU, correct? Debbie Singheiser, that's you? Okay.
So,
So do you want somebody to call and find out how much it costs to facilitate a retreat with the possibility of having it, where do we see each other?
Do we have to decide what we're going to talk like in a motion? Our agenda for that or anything? No? We could just call and see?
You're just setting a date, and a location and time, and then the content can still be discussed prior.
Okay.
That's really, so,
Okay.
Will Ruth be available during the daytime or only at night?
in July.
So what time would we want to start?
Earlier the better.
Yeah. Can we do an earlier one? But you've
9
got,
noon or
you
something.
couldn't do it because you work.
I'm not going, I'm good.
Huh?
I won't be there.
Oh, come on, we need you. You know that. Your voice is important, and if we don't do
Well,
it
we've
as
had, I've been doing this a couple of years, not that new ideas aren't good, but we're always in the bullpen hiring people, and we put sticky notes on the board, and they, oh, look, 3/10 of you pick blues. Oh, but green, 90% of you can get along in green, and you're looking at these people like, holy smokes. I mean, we spend a lot of time in the bullpen instead of making the choice and saying, no, we're gonna do this. I mean, I guess facilitator, what? And then when you go, it's gonna be, you know, the same 5 things. Best for the kids, save money, let's make a new motto, just switch the words around. It doesn't, it's, and that's great for the newer people, but it just,
you want a
it's the
decision.
same thing
You
every
want a
time.
decision at the end of it.
but it's not even a decision, it's, well, I can't make that decision for you, but the green people think it's better. It's just, it never, it's always like,
Vague.
When it's
and
not
it's always the same thing too, like, you pick the top 5 things you want to do, and it's always, you know, kids, value, money, better classes, nothing changes. So I
because it's
don't,
not followed up afterwards. If it's a one day and then right? I mean, is it?
it's the same stuff every year at the thing. So
Because
we've
then
been
right.
in the bullpen, we need to start getting out to the plate.
But we also
Or me
have-
personally.
Right.
Yeah.
Does everybody feel like that?
I think we have some new people at the table too, so I wonder about having that conversation and then like making sure that there are action items that come out of it that we do follow up on, so that it's not just a conversation for
We
the
don't-
sake of having a conversation.
We don't want to
but that
be
it moves
6
forward.
years in, 12 years in, and still having this conversation.
No, I hear that too, for sure. Yeah.
Well, I think it's important that you're there. So it would be nice to have it early, but if you're not gonna be
Yeah,
there.
no, don't plan around me.
Yes, we are. We have to,
No, don't.
it has to be everybody, Tom.
Tell her.
Because if you want it to work, you gotta be there. You gotta show up to
Where's
do
my
it,
help?
to make sure we are doing what you want us to do.
No, it's a group thing, it ain't what I want to do.
No, but
You're
your
the third
voice
base
is
coach.
important.
What's that?
You're the third base coach.
Everybody's out.
You could tell us to
No,
go
it's just, I've
home.
been to a lot of them, and like I say, you put sticky notes, it's like, it's almost like, no offense to you, it's almost like you're in 2nd and 3rd grade, and what color do you think? And, hey, what's that sticky note? You know, hey, as a group, write a word and go put it up there. You're like her, hey, I don't like
But
that.
what do you want then? What do you think it should
Just
look
the board
like?
and talk. I mean, that's.
So do you just want a regular meeting? You just want a
That's-
regular meeting and the
that's
board
just me.
talk?
This is
No,
everybody.
but it's important for all of us to have a voice of doing that. Do you think we
I have a big
could
enough
get-
voice, but
do you
everybody
think we
should-
would get enough done in that, calling it a board retreat, everybody, without a facilitator, that we would actually talk about the things that are important and get something done? How does everybody feel about that? Now is your time to speak.
I think we could, do we? I think we could, do we?
Okay, so we have a yes and a yes.
I didn't say yes, I said, I think we could.
Well,
Do
that's a-
we,
that's
do
sort
we
of a-
think we can? That's the question.
Say
Do
that
we,
again?
do we think we can?
Well, that's what we're asking.
That's what I'm saying, is do
You
we think we
could?
can?
He thinks we could.
Because we could, I think we could also ask a facilitator, it doesn't just have to be brainstorming either, right? We could say to a facilitator, what we hope to get out of this meeting are 5 concrete, or steps toward, you know, whatever.
Unification.
3 concrete action items, right? And, I mean, so I think there might be a way to it doesn't just have to be kind of big picture, ground level brainstorming. If we feel like we've already got that context, right, we could potentially ask and focus.
Do we need someone, all right, we've talked about not having someone who has skin in the game, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Skin in the game. I should know that, but I don't. So, could we use somebody, have you facilitated before? You look like you're a great facilitator.
It's, I mean,
I'm not opposed to not using a
Yeah.
paid facilitator.
no,
unless
I
you
mean,
wanna be
it's, I
paid.
think it's challenging for someone to both facilitate and participate.
Yes, it is.
Not fair.
And then that's been my experience, and that's one of the benefits of having, and it's not just the skin in the game question. It's just literally your head's in two different places.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
think that can be challenging.
Yep.
Wasting time.
But I would definitely like to see all of us there if we do have one. And we can, ask whoever the facilitator is to say that we don't want just vague, we're not looking for the big picture items. We're looking for, more structured items to check off a list type items to some of the decisions we have to make.
I'm either way. I'm either way. I just think we have to have a very serious, it has to be a serious discussion. I agree with Tom, we can't walk out of there. I don't think we're going to come up with it'd be just nice to bring out some of the things that are hard to discuss and to have an open discussion about it. And maybe that would be easier to do if we had a retreat. And is a retreat open to we open the public to come to it too?
Yes.
Okay. So when it was in Palmazine, how did we open it to the public? We asked the
It was-
public
It
to
was
come.
warned, and if they would have shown up, we would have just
It
Come.
didn't have the computer part. It was just the
in person.
location.
Correct.
All right, so maybe that's a better thing to do, to have it in a place that people, if they really want to be part of it, they come to it instead of having it here.
It is a board retreat, not a community retreat. I just want to remind the board. So it would be there listening to the board,
They don't participate.
discuss.
They
right?
don't participate. Right.
There'd be an opportunity for public comment, but as a normal meeting, but there would not be a community retreat, it'd be board
Okay.
discussion.
Be not ongoing
With a
during.
facilitator or not. So,
So I'll make a motion that we have a board retreat someplace not at GRCSU at a time that's convenient for all, and we about, yeah, that's as far as I'm gonna go. Whether we use a facilitator or not, I don't know. Let's just say we're gonna have the retreat. It'll be on July 11th. It won't be here. Let's start with that.
And then,
We agree on
can't make
that?
we can't make that motion, Linda, but, we have to, I think it'd be best to identify a location, tonight. We can't just say,
Yeah.
we can't just say July 11th in TBD and what time and stay tuned. That's not, we can't make that
Okay.
motion. I think we have to make a motion around location and time. I think it's important.
So
Particularly
does
if we're
that
looking at
mean we
transparency.
call?
Right.
To try to find places that are open for us?
Well, I think if we talk about costs and what we're trying to do, we have to really look at, where does it make most sense? And we started off at the CO, and I don't know where we moved off the CO during that discussion to someplace else. We talked about, centrally located where if people would show up, we have an opportunity for people to say we could also have a hybrid here. This is set up, so. I think as you hold it at another location, restaurant, it does become more problematic. And there is cost, and so.
Do you normally have a lot of public that come to a retreat? I've only been to like a couple. so
Well,
I
if
don't, like, is
if
it
you,
a-
depends on
would
what
it-
the retreat is about. If we
Yeah.
message that retreat to discuss closing of schools, you might have some
Well,
people show up. So, you know, it's a day. Well, I mean, that was what you
Yeah,
said.
yeah, I mean,
Closing the building.
we could be in West Rutland's gym.
Well, you know, right, so.
Town hall.
But I think that's where, depending on what that retreat is about, so, and you may have, if you have a hybrid, some people would show up, but it's hard to do hybrid in a restaurant. And I think particularly around some of the items that that the board would like to discuss, out of transparency, I think it would be good just to, give the public an option just to hear some of those discussions, even if it's just attending virtually. And I know that at Lake Bombazine last year, it was very difficult to set something like that up. So,
Okay.
I need to use the board behind you for,
right. I'll just make sure we have enough Post-it notes for Tom. I know I'm getting them for Christmas. So.
So do we want to facilitate?
Do you know what
No,
colors?
have you made the motion yet?
No. I was
The motion
talking
for
about,
here. Yeah.
so it's sort of like now if we make the motion here, July 11th,
The topic.
6 to 8. We just need to know how many people want a facilitator and how many people don't want a facilitator.
That's in the discussion part.
That's the discussion. Okay. So
The
do I make
motion.
the motion with or without a or make it with it?
You can amend
Okay, I'll
it.
make it with it, and then we can have discussion. I make a motion that we have the retreat July 11th at central office from 6 to 8 p.m. with a facilitator.
6 to 8 p.m.?
So the
Isn't that-
regular.
isn't
the
it? It's a
regular-
Regular meeting.
But it's all about whatever we're going to talk about.
A motion's been made. Are there any discussion or questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Do we want to focus on the retreat as the meeting, or are you going to try to run a school board meeting and then have a retreat? Because they need, in my view, they need to be separate.
Yes.
If you're going to have the board meeting, then you might want to consider the board meeting from 6 to 7. End of that part, the retreat part would be from 7 to 9 or whatever, so they're completely separate.
Yes.
Just my opinion.
Or can we do it from 5 to 6 and then have the retreat 6 to 8 so that we're out of here at 8 o'clock instead of 9 o'clock? That would be my,
You made the motion.
and we
though.
feed them.
You made the motion. We're in the discussion part of your motion. So you changing your motion?
You want to amend it?
Okay, so what am I making?
Withdraw.
What?
Just withdraw it.
It's withdrawn, I withdraw my motion. All right, so I'll make a new motion. I make a motion that we have our board meeting from 5 to 6 on July 11th, and we have our retreat from 6 to 8. We have the retreat here at central office on July 11th
Okay.
with a facilitator, right?
Okay.
Okay, because we have to discuss that.
All right, a motion's been made. Is there any discussion or questions?
Tom, are you coming if we have this?
Don't,
Huh?
don't run this around me. How about you? Bolton's quiet over there down the end, too.
If I have to come, you have to come. So we'll be here. Okay.
All right. And do we want to use a facilitator?
Well, make a motion with the
Include,
facilitator.
okay.
And if nobody says anything, then
We're good to
then
go.
we're using a
Okay.
facilitator.
All right. So all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Abstained? The motion's been approved.
So do we talk about what we're going to talk about, or do we wait till next month?
I think we need to move on, so we'll
Next
table that
month?
till next month.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Now, I don't know if we even made a decision on the GRCSU representative, did we? After that discussion, we did, okay.
Yep.
I'm getting confused.
We're under consent agenda.
All right. So, consent agenda. Linda, do you want to go first with
No,
the?
you have to approve the minutes.
Oh, that's right. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes of April 11th, 2024.
I'll make the motion.
A motion's been made. Is there any discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Right?
Opposed? Abstained? Motion approved. Okay. Approval of the warrants. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve warrants number 455 and 456. They are attached in the Google Drive for your review.
So moved?
Okay, a motion's been made. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion approved. Superintendent report.
Thanks, Eric. I just have a few items, keep the meeting moving. So, in your reports, you will see that we have set the graduation dates and times. I will let the building administrators, they can, during their reports, they can tell you when those are. We have also set the last day of school for students at the GRCSU board meeting on Tuesday. The board approved the waiving of one snow day, so that'll make the students' last day of school June 14th, and that'll be a half day. And then the staff's last day of school will be the following Monday, the 17th. A couple of items around, we have completed VitCap. Fast Bridge will be completed by early June. Once we have those, excuse me. Excuse me. Once we have those results, we will provide a report to the board. They're probably looking in now, probably at the August board meeting, seeing that July will be the retreat, so we'll have that information for you then, as well as next steps, what we're going to do. The facility condition assessments, just a reminder that they are in the drive. We will have a 5-year capital improvement plan for each of our schools, draft that for your review in August. And I think as we make it, talk about these discussions around 3 to 5 year plans, we look at budgeting. I do think that those would be some important documents for us to consider as we just, like I said, we look at our next year's budgets as well as that, future budgets. And the rest really is just informational items for you. Do have one last thing, is just this is Teacher Appreciation Week, or I also Staff Appreciation Week, so I just want, on behalf of Corey Valley Board and admin, I just want to say thank you to our staff for all their hard work they do. It is greatly appreciated. We did send out a message yesterday to all of them, but I just want to personally just say thank you. They are truly the heart and soul of our schools. They work their tails off, and like I said, we're very fortunate to have each and every one of them, and I just want to publicly say thank you. So, on that note.
Thank you. Principal's report.
I can go first. Proctor's excited to announce that 2 of our teachers are awarded a prestigious Roland Fellowship, and they're here today with us, Sandy and Sarah. This is award. The GRCSU has not received this fellowship before, so this is a first for us. It's really sought after fellowship. People from all over the state apply, and they select a very few group of people to do this type of work. This work aims to improve sort of the literacy practices in reading and writing across the curriculum, 7 through 12, and how to integrate interventionists, which are sort of new in our system at the secondary level. And so they do receive grant money to cover any of the expenses that this costs, and they do some research, and then they move those practices into the classroom and then replicate it across the district. So very awesome experience for us. Congratulations to both of them for applying and being accepted, and more to come on that front for us.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Is it like through the summer? Is it through a year's time? Is it, what exactly does it entail for
Yeah.
them?
So typically, there is a semester of doing some type of research-based training through the Roland Fellowship. Then they have a sort of action research semester, and then the following year, so it's sort of a 2-year thing that they go through, is all about integrating and replicating.
That's fantastic. You deserve a lot of credit. Congratulations. That's a lot.
Yes.
That is amazingly well done. Well
Will
done.
they come and share what they learned?
Absolutely. You know, they do plan to share at the board meeting, you know, when we have something a lot more concrete to share.
Well
In a
done.
couple years, we'll
Yep,
look forward to it,
yes.
yeah.
I also, oh, sorry, was there another question on that? I also have 2 field trip requests. So before COVID, Proctor High School was going to Puerto Rico. That conversation has started back up in addition to Pulteney. And so we just wanted to request over April vacation of 2025, if you would approve us taking a trip to Puerto Rico. It is students that are taking or have taken Spanish 3 that would be in that group. I don't know if you want to approve that one,
Yeah.
or there's 2 that you can approve
There's
at the
2?
same time. There's another
Okay,
one, yeah.
let's do it.
Our AP classes are actually just finishing up their AP exams this week. So we are trying to plan some enrichment experiences for them. So they are going to be taking a field trip to Mass MoCA in North Adams, Mass, to explore that museum. And so we have APR and AP Lit that are going through that.
Okay.
And so that is a day trip, yeah, it's not an overnight,
That's
but
an
because
overnight.
it's out of state, I have to
Get
ask board
approval from
approval.
the
Yep,
board?
yep.
Okay. Would someone,
I so move those 2 field trips to happen.
to Puerto Rico
Puerto
and,
Rico.
And North Adams, Mass.
Is this, now you're doing a Puerto Rico, because I know,
Yes,
Joe?
yeah, so our Spanish teachers have been working together.
okay,
Yep.
great. Wonderful.
oh, so you can combine the travel together.
And they're selling blankets, I think. Are you selling blankets?
We're not selling
too?
blankets.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
Buy
we probably
some.
will, they probably will have to do some fundraising
it's
for
the
it.
Spanish class
Yes.
and what was the other group? I'm sorry.
There, it's an AP art and an AP literature class.
AP Lit. Okay. So a motion's been made to approve the Spanish class trip to Puerto Rico in 2025. And the AP Literature class to North Springfield, Mass.
North Adams, Mass.
North Adams, Mass, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
And
That's on May
and
31st.
May 31st this
month.
year?
Yep, this month.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Of 2024. Any discussion?
Has to be funded by fundraising, is that how it's gonna be?
Yes, we do the Puerto Rico trip is through fundraising, yep.
Okay. So, any further discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion was approved. Congratulations.
Okay.
You're
Yes, I'm
next.
up. I would like to thank the teachers as well. I echo Chris's words. We're just very fortunate to have the dedicated staff that we do. I just want to highlight a couple things. We are doing some shifting around. We've worked as a staff and talked about, you know, ways we can improve our school and make things better for children. We are going to be doing a loop, a kindergarten to first grade loop. So the kindergarten teacher will follow her class up to first grade, and then that's the way it works. And then we'll be able to track some data from UFly for over 2 years. So we're really fortunate to have that opportunity, and we're really pumped about it, actually.
Awesome.
And I have included in my report the configurations for next year. So those are in there. And our graduation date is the 12th of June at 6 o'clock.
Great. You there.
Yes, also, thank you to all the teachers and staff. Tomorrow, we're actually we're supposed to do Winter Carnival in February. We kind of pushed it back, but the teachers have planned this spring fling for tomorrow. There's a 4 different options throughout the morning, like, that the students can do and teachers and everything. We got the fire department there doing some muster games, the rescue squad, and then teachers, they're doing cake decorating and to some sporting events and stuff like that. Everything runs the gamut. It's been great. Somebody asked the other night, the interview, like what, and I said, I don't even know how many, they're doing it all. It's great. Everything's taken care of. All I gotta do is cook pancakes tomorrow morning, so that's kind of that's an easy job for me.
Are you having fruit? He's gonna make
I don't know. I don't even know what the menu is. I was just told I'm manning the grill, so that's all I have to do.
Okay, I'll be there.
Yeah, I know nothing about it. Everything was done. It's pretty cool. We do have, our graduation is set for June 7th. It's at 6 o'clock on Friday. Our guest speaker is Rutland County Senator and Pulteney High School alum Terry Williams will be speaking to our senior class. Also, just last Friday, our students went out for the last hour of the day, and we took a section around the village and did the green up day. There was a bunch of bags out front, and so I was walking along the streets, bouncing between groups, and people were stopping and saying it was great to see them out there doing that kind of thing. So it was great. Community gives a lot to us, and it's nice just to, give a little bit back to the community. So I think that's, again, a lot of things. The calendar's busy. It's going to be a crazy next few weeks, but we'll get through it.
All right. Again, echo what everyone has said. Thank you to our staff as we've been celebrating Staff Appreciation Week. We've revived the PTO this year. It's something I've been working on for a few years, and they have been wonderful. They've actually spearheaded a lot of our efforts for staff appreciation. So lots and lots of energy around that group. It keeps growing. We've only had, I think, 4 or 5 meetings once a month, and every time more people are coming. So that's really good. So thank you to all those folks for their behind-the-scenes work. Wanted to give just a shout-out to senior Jesse Flood, who finished 3rd at Skills USA for plumbing. We have a number of students in the plumbing and electrical program at Stafford, a number that are in the welding, auto body, etc. And so this is a Skills USA is an annual competition for students that are in the Technical Center. I know my own son participated in that a few years back, and it's great that Jesse was given accolades for his work in the plumbing program. Just lots of other stuff I put in the board report. Just really good stuff. That I posted graduation. There is one correction because of the change in the last day of school. Our 8th grade promotion will now be on Thursday the 13th. Which happens to be a board meeting, so I will be coming late to the board meeting. The 8th grade promotion is literally a half an hour tops ceremony, but it is important, and it is something that's within the fabric of West Rutland School, so I'll bounce between the two of them, and we'll be here. So lots of great things. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me, or reach out to me. You know where I am, right down the street. So,
If it were up to me, I'd say you stay there for that graduation. That'll mean a lot to them.
oh, I will, and then I'll come here after the board meeting. Yes.
You could give a live report like
Yeah, yes, I could give a live report. Same facility, by the way. Yeah, no, that was my intention, Mike, was to do that through completion and then come down here. So I'll just be half an hour late or so. Thank you.
Thanks.
Liz.
Great, so I don't feel as bad now with my change into graduation too. But, yeah, so I would like to thank the teachers. 2nd year in a school, it's really fun to be able to kind of see personalities coming out, and having my own kids go to West Rutland too. Just really thankful for what our kids are getting and their hard work by all of our educators. So I'll just start, so I don't forget to mention that with the change, we also are going to move to the 13th. And our ceremony is a little bit longer, but I'll be here after. It's our 6th grade promotion, and it's also one of our 6th grade teachers' last promotion, so it'll probably be a little bit more emotional, I would assume, that night. But it's one of those things that we just do in Proctor, and it's really great. We had the opportunity to work with Proctor junior, senior high students on Green Up Day. They came up to us and helped clean up our facility, and we send our kids out to different sections of the community. We always get positive feedback from community members of how well our students are in the community, and it was actually really nice to be able to have some former students that I got to experience last year come back up to work at our school. In my report, I talked about our color run that our PTO did. It was fantastic. The tireless efforts. I mean, every week I feel like they were giving me something new, and quick numbers. Our PTO has raised $10,000 this year towards Playground, so really proud of them, and we're going to keep pushing for more. They have a $50,000 goal, and hopefully we can get it, in the next year or two. And then just something that's been really cool that's only been in a couple of weeks in the works. Our library media specialist, Mr. McGee, has been doing video announcements by the week that he does at the high school. So our sixth graders are kind of getting some of that experience before they go up there. So lots of field trips, lots of fun. I included our sixth grade Up for Learning presentation that they're going to give to their peers tomorrow in grades 3 through 6. And then they are going to decide how they'd like to celebrate all of their hard work during VitCap being completed. So. If I don't tell you, I will be talking to you about it tomorrow. Our first graders are putting on a play on June 3rd, 8:40 sharp. You're welcome to come. They're putting on The Little Red Hen, and they've been in the gym performing it for the last few weeks. So please come, 8:40 sharp, not 8:41. I was giving very clear directions. So would love to have you.
What date is it?
June 3rd.
Thank you.
Great. Awesome.
Sorry, and I didn't mention our graduation, which I should have, is on June 8th at 10 o'clock.
Thank you. Thank all of you. The eighth item is finance, but Lewis is.
No, GRC board meeting
Oops, that's right. I
report.
forgot about that. Yeah, go ahead. With that.
Let me see. We had a presentation of the Wellness Center, which is going to continue for next year. Lehigh is closing in Poultney, so that's going to even mean more to GRCSU in the future. For the person who is going to continue with it. We did hear Bill talk about, he sees it growing. We approved another lease. We approved another van because of the kids that have to go back to their schools from Lehigh, or maybe, it was shown that there was a great need, and it was even more cost-effective to do this rather than trying to find another way out of it. It just seemed more appropriate to go with the van because of its need. Hopefully we'll be getting more kids from not just our group, but I can see us in the third or fourth year accepting students from other districts because they don't have this. So it only looks to me like it's going to grow because of also we are seeing a growth in kids who are having problems with social emotional, who cannot enter the classroom because of their social emotional problems. So it just seems like they put the kids back. This past year, kids were able to go back to the classroom to learn because they were given the skills from the group in the Wellness Center. I've been there a couple of times. I know it's having been a special educator and having had an alternative classroom, I can see that we are doing well by our children. I think by our students. That's my opinion. And I can see us growing exponentially, to it. And everybody knows what Lehigh is, right? Okay.
So are they're seeing the Wellness Center as filling the gap that's being left by
Oh, yeah.
Lehigh?
Yeah.
And the Wellness Center, if I'm remembering right, was a sort of a shorter the expectation was that
Right.
students would spend it like a shorter period of time and then
Right.
return. Lehigh was more of a
Yes.
full-time, so
Long-term.
what's the kind of?
But I think what happens is that as we grow and do well, wellness will grow to a point. You know, once the administrators get together and talk about the wellness and how it can grow to meet the needs of more students. Because I don't see us, yeah, it's over, COVID is over, but the aftermath of COVID is going to bounce along. And if you read the papers, our numbers are going up again for COVID. So, parents are experiencing more social, emotional things, just trying to go to their job. You know, I mean, it's not going to go away, it's only going to grow. So the Wellness Center has a real potential to meet the needs of not just the kids in our district or supervisory union. It has the potential to meet the needs to actually take in more kids from other districts.
And right now, I think Bill said that our cap would be 15 with our
Right.
current.
So that's
Setup.
even more than what we approved for last year, which was only, 6 or 7 that we thought we could do well. Did I say that okay? I mean, did I hit the high points on that?
I wasn't there, but I sound like
That's
you
right,
did,
I'm
so
sorry.
yes, so.
Yeah, okay.
No, I think we're, right, I think with the closure of Lehigh, it's, you know, as the admins can attest, you know, we are in a state with a limited number of resources, you know, for our students, and Lehigh, the closure of Lehigh is just one less resource that schools have at their disposal. I think what we have to start looking at is we have to start being more creative in terms of how we best serve our students, you know, across the wide spectrum that we have. And so I think the wellness program was designed to meet some of those needs, but we also need to look at how do we, you know, enhance that program to to capture, you know, a wider, you know, I guess, range of our students. But I think it'll be interesting because, as many of you may have heard, but Bill Basic is not returning next year. He's moving on. He's accepted a superintendent's position down in southern Vermont. So we will be, you know, looking next week to start interviewing candidates for a director of student supports, and this will be one of the key pieces that we have in mind is vision around, you know, the next 3 to 5 years where we see special education and developing this wellness program. But also, as we look at the state's idea of developing more of a BOCES approach, you know, which is more of a regional approach, and the way this wellness program may play into that, you know, in our area. So I think it's very interesting. It's really serving our students' needs. I think Linda is correct that the students who have accessed this program have highly benefited from this. And I think the admins can attest to that as well. So the success of the students that have been there, and I thank the staff and Bill for all their hard work.
And it is hard work. Not that anything else is hard work, but we all know that kids that have emotional needs, you know, come and they're hard. You know, principals deal with it, teachers deal with it. So, yeah, I think it's doing well.
Linda, did you have something on the?
Oh, I just wanted to say one more thing, too. We had a great discussion about doing a budget workshop because many of us don't understand how the budget, I mean, and that takes in the stuff that's going on up in Montpelier, because just as you get to the point where you think you might understand it, they change it, and it changes the whole thing around. So we had a good discussion about, and there's someone in the group from Rutland Town who did a presentation to his board members in Rutland Town, and you know, I did make a suggestion that I'd love to see him do it. Nothing came of it yet, but it would be nice to think about that for the future as we go into another budget season, to have somebody give a different, you know, a perspective to learn something about the budget and how it impacts us. So That was an interesting piece. And the only other thing is the VSBA. And they've been sending out lots of things to ask us to send to the people that are in our Rutland County Senate, because the House passed a bill and the VSBA liked it. And then the Senate changed it. If it does not focus on addressing the root causes of increasing costs and revising the funding system in order to address cost concerns without disequalizing effects. You know, and I could go on and read this to you, but I don't know if I really have to tell you or understand what the bill is yet, because they haven't approved it. And it does have to do with cost containment. They asked us to send this to them. I basically said to them a little bit of what they said, but I also wrote at the end, I think it's time you guys stopped Band-Aiding and go back to fixing it. If you take some time, because we don't want Band-Aids anymore. It's just too confusing to everyone. And that's the way I interpreted what they were asking us to say. But we don't have it yet. They had another meeting today. I don't know what happened, but I'm sure there'll be some more information coming out. And you can always go on the VSBA website, and Sue Siglowski usually puts a letter out to try to explain what's happening up in Montpelier.
And the bill that Linda's referencing is H887, which is the yield bill, and
Thank you.
yes.
Okay.
Is this the vision and?
Yeah. So at the GRCSU meeting, the GRCSU Vision and Mission Committee has put together a final draft of that, and I just wanted everybody to kind of take a look at it. And I think that they worked really hard on it, and I think it came together pretty nicely. Is there any questions on that or anything? No?
I think we're looking for endorsement on that, which
Yeah.
would be endorsement across the SU.
Is this something everybody can stand behind?
I can.
Yes.
I think the plan is to put like the shorter vision on T-shirts and that sort of thing. Is that correct, Chris?
My understanding, well, sure, that the
It goes on
motto, the
stationery.
vision is something which could be, yeah, it's,
I mean, that was discussed in
Yeah,
that meeting.
I mean, I think you're right. It's the messaging around that would be yes, but I think it really is in terms of a lot of districts will use a shorter vision, because it's easier for people to remember, to engage with. I used one of the words, but I think the longer mission kind of goes a little more in detail to this. But I think as we look at it within our schools, within our offices, within our any sort of document, we would have the mission, the vision, readily available and visible. So in the model you'll see and should see in all of our schools and places stuff like that. So yes. And I do want to thank the Vision Committee for the administrators, the board members, parents, and staff who took the time out of their busy schedules to do the work on this. So thank you.
Okay. Moving on to monthly financials. Lewis is not here, so I think we can.
Yeah. Any questions? Just reach out to Lewis.
Okay. Personnel actions, contract recommendations, and resignations. We have 2 resignations.
Do the recommendations first. The resignations. Contract recommendations.
What's that?
Oh, the agenda.
Yeah. Do the contract recommendations first. Go to resignations.
I thumbed past it. We can just lump these together in the motion, right? Do I have to read
Just
every
the-
one of these out?
The top part, the rest is for informational purposes, really does not necessarily need board approval.
Right. Do I have a motion to accept the contract recommendations?
So moved.
Okay, so a motion has been made. Discussion, questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? The motion is approved. Now on to resignations. I would like to entertain a motion to approve the resignations.
Make the motion.
A motion's been made. Discussion, questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? So moved. Policies. Sarah, do you want to go over the policies?
Yeah, I think everyone
can
had a
just
chance to
lump them-
look at
lump
them
them
in their
together?
packets. I mean, I think
Okay.
we can make a motion, and then if anyone has, questions, but they're at second read at this point, so.
All right, so do I have a motion to approve the second read of policies?
I'll make the motion to accept E10, E13, E16, E18, F18, and G1.
Okay.
Okay, a motion has been made. Is there any discussion, questions?
Just the three.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? So moved.
You're welcome.
I don't see anybody else for general.
You have, and Joe Harrington.
Okay.
Eric, you can ask if there are still some members of the public online. You can just see if anybody has anything.
Are there any members currently that would, or any public persons that would like to speak to the board at this time? Okay. Future meeting date, June 13th, 2024. Do I have do I have to entertain a motion on that? That's informational, correct? Okay. Future agenda items. Besides the ones we tabled.
Killing me.
There's no reason to go into executive session.
There you go.
All right. I would like to entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? So moved. Eric.
Motion to adjourn is not.
It's not? Okay. Still learning all these rules.